What's up, guys? It's Kevin from K-Sport Fitness, and this is the YouTube channel to help athletes get stronger, faster, and improve performance. And part of improving performance is having adequate mobility, and today we're breaking down some hip mobility drills. What I'd like for you to have is a band, some type of pillow or block, and then some ankle weights. If you don't have that, that's okay, but I'm gonna walk you through some of my favorite drills pulled from our K2 mobility class. And this first one that I want you to do is work on some internal rotation. So we're using this weight to get a little extra load, and we're trying to drive our foot and our hip into internal rotation. Having adequate range of motion both externally, internally, and being strong in these positions will only going to lead you to be stronger in your lifts. After 10 or so of those, want to get an isometric hold to improve that strength in that position. So now you'll get your band. You're going to get into that same position and watch what we'll do here now. Now we're going to make ourselves pull like a physical therapist would to manually manipulate that range, pull into as much range of motion as possible, let go of the band, and then do an isometric hold here for 10 seconds. After the 10 seconds, you can pull a little further, and then you can hold that position. This is a great way to build strength in that in-range position. Now what I'm doing is I'm showing you, I believe, 5 or 6 drills pulled from our K2 mobility class. And if you're not familiar with our mobility classes, every single day we offer a 15-minute guided class that'll guide you through in full everything that we're doing. I'll put down in the description the reps and the sets of an example class and some of the exercises I'm showing you today. But if you want to check that out in the description. So when we look at hip mobility, we looked at some internal rotation. Next, we're going to look at hip flexion. So we're going to get this box up, and I want you to find something that's appropriate for you. It might be this height or wherever you're at, but I want you to find something that is at your in range of motion, and here's what we do. Our mobility technique is about lengthening first. So I would spend 2 minutes with my hamstrings lengthened. I'm working on my breath. Actually, I would take an inhale for 3 seconds in, take an exhale, and I'd try to get a little bit deeper, and I would repeat that breathing process for the full 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, this is how we improve strength at the in range. I want you to flex your quad and drive into the box to pre-fatigue those muscles, and then I want you to posture up and squeeze this muscle here, your hip flexor, trying to strengthen your quads and get that activation. Very common if you are not strong in that position that you might catch a cramp. So if you catch a cramp, that's a sign that you want to get stronger in that position. And if you can't even lift your foot off the box, it might be too high. A perfect example of where I want you to be, if I take a second to find mine, it would be where you can't get an inch higher than the box. So that's probably actually where I would need to be. But if that's for down here for you, totally fine. Getting strong in that position is going to help you at toes to bar, L-sits, sprinting, all different types of things that require getting into this position and having good, lengthen your hamstrings. We can't talk about hip mobility without talking about the couch stretch. So this is a classic one that we give athletes. And for some people, you have to start off in this kneeling position where I'm sinking this back knee and just kind of driving it forward. As you improve your mobility, you could posture up, you can add in some rotation, but you're getting a massive stretch through here. And if you can't put your knee up, you could also do the same thing. Just take your foot off the box or the wall and focus on getting a stretch here. The same concept applies here. I want you to get a minute or two stretch here, and then squeeze your glutes, contract, posture up, and then as you exhale, see if you can get deeper into that position and then actually pull your hamstring up to activate the opposing side, just like we did with the box. We press down, we lift it up. Here we're pressing forward, and then we're recruiting the opposite muscle and trying to pull our hamstring up. If we go into another hip flexion drill, this is, I love this drill. It's gonna help you get deeper into your squats because you're getting a great stretch, and it's strengthening your hip flexors again. If you're new around here and you have not subscribed to us, throw us a subscribe, give me some engagement, because I'd like to start being more consistent on making these videos, and the more I get feedback, it's only going to help me produce more content. So here's what I want you to do next. I want you to get that ankle weight if you got it. I want you to set a timer for 1 minute, and I want you to repeat this process here. I want you to get a 5-second massive stretch here, pulling up as high as you can, and then for 5 seconds, try to keep that hold that position for 5 seconds. 5 seconds, pull a little higher, 5-second hold. Repeat that process on both sides. If you got to have something to balance, do that, but that's going to be a great strengthening of that hip flexor, and you get some good stretch. You can get into a deep squat. Last exercise I want you to do to help piece it together is a hip car. So now we're working the hip through full range of motion. It looks like this. We're going into external rotation, trying to keep the knee above the hip, keep it super high, super slow, dropping the hip into internal rotation. Make sure your glutes and your hamstrings are turned on. Push back, open up your hip as high and as slow as you can, fighting for every centimeter of space. Back into external rotation, and then you would repeat that process. There you have it, guys. Those are 6 exercises or 5 exercises that are pulled directly from today's hip mobility class. If you want to improve your mobility, you know what it takes, guys. It takes consistency and actually doing the right stuff. For years and years and years, I just stretched. I'd camp out, I'd get into a pigeon stretch, and this felt good, and I felt like I was improving in my mental mindset where I was able to relax, like doing things like Ramwad, and I loved breathing and just settling down. But to be honest, it was once I started applying the pails and rails techniques and strengthening that in range of motion with some of the drills I showed you today, getting strong in that position as opposed to just lengthening. Lengthening is one part of the puzzle, having long muscles, but then you have to strengthen the in range. And that's what that FRC model has taught me, functional range conditioning, pails and rails, and it's totally changed the game for mobility for me. It's made it actually fun because I find that those isometric holds are challenging, and I've seen a lot of great results, and now we help athletes improve their mobility. We know in every class it's different. We're working on every joint of the body. So I showed you some hip mobility stuff. We work on your shoulders, your back, and making every joint bulletproof so you can move better. If you haven't already, click the link down below. You can take 3 free classes, and I'd love to see you there. Catch you in the next one, guys.